Hey there, Bear Club! At the Mama Bear Initiative, we explore how to protect ourselves so we can protect our cubs, the people who depend on us. Join us and get the confidence you need to stay safe, make good choices, and protect yourself and those you care about. Let's go!
Wait, what are we laughing at?
You going like this with your glasses off kind of made me laugh a little.
What'd I do?
You went like this. Made your
As
eyes
you
really
pull
big.
your glasses off.
Like, oh, I have eyes.
Well, here's my problem. I'm using a giant monitor. It's 24 inches.
Yeah.
So you two have a laptop. My laptop can't handle. It's too old and too little memory, so it can't handle what this is doing. So I have a Mac Mini and a big old monitor, and I have a separate camera. So the Mac Mini has no internal stuff that's useful. So my camera is way up here. So I feel like when I'm looking, I don't know, when I'm looking at the monitor, do I look like I'm looking at you guys?
Yeah, your eyes are straight ahead.
Okay, good.
If you were looking at the camera, you'd feel like stargazing.
I've been fiddling with how to look like I'm actually looking at you guys rather than like.
Yeah, same here. Oh, I'm looking over here. Stephanie's on this side. Evelyn's on that side.
Yeah, you're right in the middle for me, Rochelle.
Yeah, I got Rochelle in the middle, Steph on the left.
I'm in the middle line too. That's so weird. Okay.
It's all about my left too. Wop, wop, wop. Anyway, well, welcome to the Mama Bear Initiative podcast. I'm Stephanie Denham.
I'm Evelyn Mason.
I'm Rochelle Knapp.
Apparently, I needed to do the weird thing with my eyes again.
Apparently.
Because my eyebrows showed up to the party. You see?
My eyebrows are always at the party because they're black almost. Dark brown.
Well, you're lucky because for whatever reason, Evelyn and I's eyebrows are fading.
Yes. This is not real, guys. It's based on a true story.
Based on true events.
On a true story. What's the story? You once had eyebrows?
I once had eyebrows. I don't have any picture. I don't have any photographic evidence, but when I have this great picture of when I graduated from college. The eyebrows, they were glorious. Not too much, not too little. Goldilocks eyebrows, baby, just right.
I've always had thick caterpillar eyebrows. Like, I have a unibrow. I shave that. And then I have a lot of hair in here. I shave that too. But what I don't shave is thinned out quite a bit.
But now we have a handy dandy.
So brow mascara helps to make them look a little thicker. It looked like they'd come to the party.
Waxer. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think
of. Rochelle and I got a waxer.
Don't get carried away or you'll have no eyebrows. Then they can look however you want.
It actually did pretty well on mine.
We could draw them.
We can stir them up and draw them with magic marker.
No.
I knew a lady who had that sort of situation. I don't know what happened to her original brows, but you know how there's a brow like a ridge here? You know, you can find your brow ridge. Well, she kind of went north of the brow ridge and then down. And just to make sure, she went, down like here, and it started about here. So
it sounds like Cruella de Vil.
And the thing was, she was the sweetest, most wonderful person, but it was so hard to concentrate on whatever she was saying
because her eyebrows were so distracting.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the stuff I see on the Facebook or the memes about people drawing in their eyebrows have to be fake.
Yeah,
like the big triangular things that kind of do this.
Extensions.
Anyway, my face also showed up to the party. I've got, makeup on.
Oh, you got kind of a geisha vibe going there with the sort of pale skin and the nice rosy cheeks.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to, compensate for the light.
Yeah, me too. IRL, in real life, this is kind of dark.
Yeah.
Slightly appalling.
I wouldn't say that, but okay.
No, not appalling at all. Not even slightly.
There's her face. Is Evelyn coming? No, not.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, your face arrived before the rest of you did? That's weird. That is appalling. I agree with that one.
This light makes it look, like normal.
Well, I'm glad your face is attached while we're doing this podcast, because that would be
very
weird.
Important.
Yes, that would be
very
weird.
important. That would be very
How do you
strange
know
if it
this
wasn't.
isn't a cardboard cutout?
Because we know you very well.
I don't know for sure. I could call your mom and ask her to come poke you to be sure.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
We are in a silly mood.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
We're not going to talk about silly things.
No.
We're going to talk about some serious things like normal.
Yeah.
Because we're totally serious.
All the time.
All the time.
Serious face.
Oh my.
Your face did a good bit of that last time. The recording.
Yeah.
You look pretty serious most of the time. Anyway. So we decided, I forget how, we had these conversations just a few days ago, and I know Rochelle started it, but I don't know what she said that got us to where we're at tonight, which is defensiveness,
denial and
deflection.
And deflection. The 3 Ds.
How it came about was I was thinking about denial when you have trauma, and then we fleshed it out from there.
Right. So we're not talking necessarily about other people's denial, deflection, and defensiveness. Right. We're talking about our own.
Yes.
As part of, what happens to people who have trauma, CPTSD. Because I think it's kind of more intense that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I mean, I've been, not to brag or anything, but I've been at this longer and definitely have worked through quite a bit of that. But I believe that, in my 20s and 30s especially, I had a good bit of that kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And, I don't think, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm delusional. There's another D.
There's another D.
I don't think that I tend to be defensive or in denial or deflective at this point. I try to be honest about how I feel. And if somebody approaches me with something I'm doing, I think sometimes I am defensive right away, but other times I'll stop, think, listen, and then reflect back what they said and say, so what you're saying is, this happens primarily with my husband because he's a firstborn.
Yeah.
And he doesn't take any flack.
True.
I don't take any flack off of him either, but we're just kind of like that with each other. Yeah. It's just been kind of our way. We're just, not easy to manipulate or try to control each other because we're firstborns. But, I feel like my fear response to a lot of things that have happened to me is just to cry. There was a time I worked in an office, this last office that I worked in. I was working with a group who were collecting insurance money from a Midwest hospital, collecting money from whatever the insurance was out there. And, something that often happens to me in jobs is I'll join in whatever position they give me, and then they, I tend to learn it fast, whatever, and quickly they'll give me a slightly higher position, or they'll give me tasks to do that I can handle or whatever. So I've become sort of a person in analyzing claims that weren't paid or that were being sent to self-pay or something. I forget what it was. So this young woman, very beautiful woman, by the way, she was a model. She was also from California and part Mexican, which gave her this really beautiful skin. And I think she dyed her hair blonde or something, but you could kind of tell, she just had that beautiful aura about her.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we were friendly, to be honest. This was in my 30s when this was going on. And she asked me to help her with something. And I went over to her desk and I was leaning over and I was kind of squinting my eyes because I was thinking, asking her questions, whatever. And sometime later, maybe a week later, I get called into the manager's office. I felt like I was going to the principal's office.
Mm.
She's sitting in there. She talks about how I'd been, I don't know if she said bossy or not, but she was basically indicating that somehow I was lording something over her and pretending like I was in charge. I don't even know. Which, of course, none of that was true. I was like trying to help her because she asked me a question. And I was doing my best to help her. And maybe I wasn't, I don't know. Anyways, I just started bawling. So I didn't know what else to do. Like, I was upset because I've once again was experiencing a kind of rejection and a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I don't know if I actually did anything wrong or not, to be honest with you, when that kind of thing comes up. I'm just not clear. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like sometimes I am so defensive, sometimes I'm not. I don't know. What do you guys have to say about that?
I say for the most part you're not. I think you're pretty straightforward.
Not about me, but about your own experience.
Oh,
I was wondering.
Sorry.
Like,
I don't know.
exactly are we weighing
I don't
in
know, I'm
on
not
here?
asking you to talk about me. Talk about yourselves.
It has been a journey for me to overcome defensiveness. It feels less instantaneous than it used to, and I'm learning to mature in terms of not reacting and trying to listen. And as of late, the development has been like, I want to know myself better. So if someone's saying something about me, generally it's Stephanie, then I try to listen to what she's saying because it's an opportunity to know myself better and to understand trauma, my own trauma better. What she sees helps me understand that. And I used to get very defensive very quickly. That was generally my reaction to most things.
And then we'd get into a fight.
Yeah, which I hate. I don't want to fight with her. I don't want to fight with anybody, but especially not Stephanie.
Argue and yell at each other.
Yeah. And so I knew at some point I had to grow up, and even if I didn't outwardly say it, I felt it. And I don't mean just with my sister. I felt it in a lot of situations. And I couldn't speak what I was thinking in some of those situations, or most of them. But I still felt it, and I still felt like justifying what I was doing or whatever, or what was happening on my side. And now, I fast forward a couple of years, it's been at least a couple of years now since I sort of made a decision to actually listen and not just jump in and be defensive. It's very humbling, and it's very hard to not want to defend yourself, but it also gives me a chance to think about what's actually being said and realizing it's probably true. And for the most part, I can, in other situations, I can just accept, if I know it's true, what someone's saying about me, I can now just accept it and not have to think too hard. It's something a lot deeper, like we talk about. It's more emotional, but it's a good opportunity to learn something and understand and grow more. And I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it feels good, because it doesn't. It feels hard a lot of the time. And I think the hardest part is realizing, for me now, is realizing I don't really know myself that well. Mm-hmm. And so I have to learn somehow. I have insight into into myself to some degree, but I don't know everything. So hearing things or being called out or whatever you want to call it about yourself, it gives you a chance to learn and to understand better if you want to.
We're kind of doing this backwards, but we didn't really talk about what defensiveness is.
Oh, sorry.
I just jumped right in and started talking about whether or not I am defensive, but we never define what it is or how it works. Like, I think most people probably understand defensiveness because everybody's been defensive at one time or another, but I think it's helpful to sort of flesh it out a little bit. Like, how does it start?
Yeah.
Why is it happening? We could talk about what to do about it later.
Yeah.
Who wants to take it on?
As far as what defensiveness is?
Yeah.
I think it's it comes from feeling victimized. Like you're attacking me personally. Like you're not just I think when I've gotten defensive is I've taken it as you're a bad person, not you've done bad things. And nobody wants to be called a bad person. So it's like, no, I'm not, that didn't, whatever, So it's like that. It's like a knee-jerk reaction of feeling like you're being personally attacked.
When somebody comes to you and says something about something you did that they didn't like.
Yeah.
Generally, that's how it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes, like in my case, a lot of times I would be falsely accused of something. And then I would be defensive about that because, no, that's not true. That's not how it happened. That's not what it was,
Right.
Yeah.
But it's usually not that cut and dried.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying, Ev, is that people will often equate behavior with a person. So if you lie, you're a liar. My contention is if you lie once in a while, maybe, nah, you're not a liar. You're a person who lies sometimes.
Yeah.
But if it's a chronic pattern, then we could make a case for you actually being a liar.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's sort of the take on behavior over, personhood, then it feels like when somebody comes to you and says, did you lie to me? You could then immediately feel like, oh, they're calling me a liar, which is that personal attack, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be seen as a liar.
Right.
So you immediately deflect back, no, I'm not. Oh, I didn't. No. And that's a little tricky because you have to I feel a person has to get to a place of understanding the difference between a behavior and an identity.
Right.
And I'm just personally not sold on the idea that if you lie once, you're a liar. If you commit crime once, you're a criminal.
Right.
I guess you can make a case for the criminal thing. If you were caught and prosecuted, it's, punished, whatever. I guess technically you're a criminal by those standards, but I think that kind of label should be reserved for people who make a habit of it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've seen the difference up close.
That was really loud, Rochelle.
Sorry.
There's when you see there's an attitude, there's a mentality that goes into the patterns of behavior where you can see the same thing happening again and again, as opposed to a one-off. Then you can say, okay, like the person who continues to live in I'm sorry, my mind went blank. But someone who continues to perpetuate the behavior and isn't really trying to stop it.
Right.
Maybe even is resigned to, this is who I am, this is what I do, because this is who I am.
Right. And that I feel like if somebody's gone all the way there, they're not going to necessarily be defensive about whatever it is they've done. Although I have seen that. Like, I watched a video of this older woman who was before a judge and was pretty defensive about whatever it was she did, and was being given some kind of parole or something. And then she said something to her lawyer that wasn't cool with the judge. She said, a cuss at him. She got pulled back in front of the judge, and then was her parole changed or something changed and she had to go to jail right then. Right. She was really weirdly defensive about whatever it was she did and worried about losing her job.
Yeah.
And, depending on what this woman's habits and patterns are, I don't know. Is she a criminal? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. But I think for the most part, the things we're talking about are more like, I don't know. Mom told you to put the dishes over here and you put them over there. And she came to you and said, why didn't you put the dishes where I told you? Right. Mm-hmm. And your immediate reaction is, I'm not a bad person. Because I didn't do that.
It's almost like a panic response.
Yeah, I'm not saying you personally. I'm just saying that's the kind of thing we're generally talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like I got to come up with an excuse, a reason, right. When you're called out.
Yeah. And then, you say something to defend yourself against whatever upset there might be. Because it feels, if you feel like a victim, it feels unjustified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it is justified, it still feels unjustified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday at work, I had a weird encounter with a young guy that works there.
When do you not have a weird encounter at work, Rochelle?
Fair enough.
That's in her job description.
So he was vacuuming the rugs. That we have a rug in front of the coffee island or coffee area, one in front of the soda area, and he brought the vacuum up with him to help us ring people up because we were busy. And all I said was, I'm not going to say his name. I'll call him Sam. I told the other girl, the girl who was up there with us, I said, she said, why is the vacuum here? I said, Sam brought it up here to help us, and he immediately came around the corner and got in my face and said, what did you say? I was like, I just said that you brought the vacuum with you when you came up to ring people up, to help us ring people up. He was immediately defensive, and I found out overhearing conversation later, let's just say he's living in he's probably like 19 or 20. He's living in a not so great situation.
So it's already hyper about.
He's already hyper, and I have struggled with him a bit, but I understand better now why he is the way he is. I don't want to say I can overlook it because I understand, but the defensiveness, man, it's just rampant. Like everything, he takes everything personally. Another example is we do a lot of deliveries, DoorDash and things like that. And if he's doing like normally everybody kind of pitches in unless they tell us specifically to have one person do it, which when we're busy, that makes sense. But if we're not busy and somebody needs to go grab something, we can just go grab it. It's no big deal. And one day that was the case. And he's like, Rochelle, why are you grabbing the DoorDash stuff? He's like on the other side of the store. I'm supposed to be. And I said, you weren't up here. I just went and grabbed it. I wasn't busy. Like, that's just what we do. We're a team. But everything, he just takes it really, really personally. It's very, very defensive, very fast. And I find that a little overwhelming. But I understand because he lives with people who are not great. We'll just put it that way. And I feel for him because I know what that's like. And I don't know what to degree things are bad, but they sound pretty bad from a little bit he said to someone else I just happened to hear. It wasn't like eavesdropping. I just heard it. And he had to move out of his house because of it, apparently. Or I guess he got sick of it and finally moved away because he's of age. He can move in with someone else that he can live with. He's an adult, technically. So, the defensiveness is very strong. And that to that level feels intense. Like, you can't say anything to someone like that who's always jumping on everything that you say or do.
Well, you can. You just have to know that you're probably going to get a defensive response.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just thinking while you were talking, Rochelle, that I think in a lot of cases, defensiveness is sort of like a maladaptive way of standing up for yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a maladaptive way of standing up for yourself based out of this not good enough mentality.
Yeah.
Because it's just more evidence that I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly where I had historically taken it.
Well, I think we all have.
Yeah.
And so the question is, how do you take criticism without becoming defensive? Because that's really what's needed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that people rely on too heavily is what they intended versus what they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think everybody thinks they intend well, and maybe they do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're still doing the thing that is bothering someone else, it doesn't really matter what your intentions are.
Yeah.
So I think bridging that gap between what you intended and what you actually did is probably where most people need to go with this.
Yeah.
And take a look at the behavior itself.
Right.
And how it was hurtful to the person that brought it to you.
Yes. And I think that's huge, is to, two things, like to be able to separate yourself from your actions. As we talked about the liar example, but then also to care more about the people you're impacting than about somehow defending yourself. Because, I know something I used to tell my kids, and I've had to tell myself, is, I could say anything to anybody. I could think anything. I could have any of a number of intentions. But what matters is, what are you doing?
Right.
How are you treating other people? If I struggle with honoring my mother, and I think that's why it's a command, because there's that inside of me that wants to go against, like just wants to rebel. And I have these thoughts in my mind, and I have to grab a hold of them, and I need to choose to treat her well. And it's more than just intending to and then disrespecting her. Because I've seen, she's very much an empathic person, and I can sometimes be so cruel. And thank God it's not nearly as bad as it was. In fact, it's so much better now.
So I have a question. Since we're talking about intentions versus actions, do you generally intend to hurt your mom? Is that like your go-to?
No, not that I want to.
Well, I mean, intend to. We're talking about intention. Is your general MO is your intention to hurt your mom?
Well, I mean, intention. No,
No.
When I hear the word intention, I think, do I intend to? Is this what I want to do? Is this what I like?
Right.
I'm going to go downstairs and get mom crying. No, never.
No. Yeah. No. I was hoping you'd say no.
No.
Okay.
No, but it's true. I don't.
It took you a minute to get there. Yeah, I didn't think you would.
No.
Yeah. So when you do your intentions to not hurt her matter? Or
when I do,
or does if you go downstairs grumpy, and you're trying to get your coffee and your mom starts talking to you and you don't want to talk to anyone and you kind of give her a meh, kind of a response. Your intention is never to hurt your mom, but your actions did hurt her because she's just trying to be nice, right?
Yeah, and my intention is, and this sounds, well, it sounds like it sounds. Often the phrase that goes through my mind is, shut up and leave me alone. Now, that's like, I just want to get my coffee. Don't talk to me, But I don't intend to hurt her, and I don't intend to. I've never told her that,
Yeah, but it still happens because, and I think a lot of times people will do things like be grumpy with other people when they haven't had their coffee yet, or because I know I have the same problem, right? My intention is never to be grumpy with people, but I still end up doing it, partly because I'm feeling a bit selfish and I'm feeling entitled to being left alone.
Yes, that term entitled came to my mind too.
And why doesn't everybody just... Now, here's the problem. If I've never had a conversation with my son or my husband about needing space in the morning, and I would appreciate if they would just wouldn't talk to me and just let me get my coffee. If I've never had that conversation with them, my anger is not justified.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I have had that conversation with them and they still do that, then if I get uppity about it, then it's justified. Right. And I might have to go, hey guys, look, I've asked you before, could you please not talk to me when I'm coming down for my coffee? The problem is if we're not taking responsibility for how we're feeling,
right?
When we behave badly and someone comes to us about it, then there's also this element of, well, I'm entitled to be left alone.
Right.
That I feel like it's playing into the defensiveness or some other emotion you might be having about why you acted the way you did. I think sometimes that happens.
Yeah. And we want to justify it somehow.
Right.
But
is it justifiable? That's the question. Like my finger blends into my shirt. Speaking of coffee, I have my half human, half coffee shirt
on. Nice.
Sorry.
I think intention is important in terms of like realizing that the first thought I had was our actions reflect our values, which I'm learning, and intention has to follow that. If we make a mistake, and also it's really important for people to understand, if you make a mistake, it doesn't make you a bad person. It took me a long time to get a hold of that myself. And intention is just intention. It doesn't really mean anything unless you're following through with whatever you're thinking about. I have an interesting thought today about helping around the house. I used to do it out of sheer anxiety for whatever reason, feeling just anxious all the time about not helping enough.
News to me.
So, I know. And today I felt like this it's a value of mine now to help out because it's the right thing to do, and because I live here, and because I'm trying to be part of the family. I'm putting efforts towards all of that, and to be involved in conversations, actually be present. That all goes together. My intention was always that, but it always was based in anxiety, and so the anxiety would create this problem of wanting to simultaneously couldn't understand how to be part of a family and wanted to run away all the time. Because it felt like so much pressure on me, and I was putting it on myself, really, because no one was demanding anything of me. But I felt like there was a longing to be part of a family, but also a longing to isolate at the same time. So I had to make a choice. What's more important? And I decided being part of a family was more important. So everything kind of changed in terms of like helping out, being present, engaging in conversations, and doing things like a normal part of a family. Being involved with people and knowing what's going on in their lives. I'm crying. Why am I crying? Because I do. This is what I do. And my intention was always the same, but it didn't change until I decided what my values were. And like, I need to do this because Stephanie and I had endless conversations about not being part of the family. And I live here, but I'm like a boarder. And like, I just didn't get it for the longest time. Like I would agree with her and I understood it intellectually, but I didn't really get it. And I don't really know exactly what changed, except I decided I didn't want to live the way I was living anymore. And then everything just kind of went from there. Like I came home from work, used to immediately go upstairs to my room. Now I come home from work, I put my bag down, I sit down, I hang out with them. If I need to go take a nap before class or something, I do that. But like, I feel different in terms of like, I'm more present here. I feel included. I feel a part of things. And that's all because of a change of mind, really. And it wasn't easy, and sometimes I do want to run away and isolate, but I know that's not a good thing for me to do. And, it just takes understanding. Well, I shouldn't say it just takes, it's not easy. It takes understanding what do I value more? My need, or what I think I need for isolation, or my family misses me, so I should be around more when I can be here.
Yeah, so Rochelle mentioned earlier that defensiveness was an issue between us for a long time, mainly her being defensive.
Yeah.
Mostly because there was some ongoing, she lives here with me in our house, and there's some ongoing, okay, maybe turn away when you're wiping your nose and blowing your nose.
Sorry. It's just running, it won't stop. My nose wants to run away.
Who wants to watch that?
Forgive me. Sorry.
Anyway,
okay.
There's some ongoing issue, like I don't know. I guess we could talk about the, not spending as much time with the family.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, if you were acting defensive, it was because you didn't like what I was saying, because it was true.
Yeah.
And you often would retort with, no, it's not, or no, I'm not, or which feels weird because I'm like, it's been going on for like a year. What do you mean you're not?
Several years most times.
Or whatever. Yeah, and then it would, we're sisters, so it would start this like sometimes shouting argument.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that happened a few months ago. I forget what it was about, but I can tell when you're processing what I'm saying now, because you don't always respond right away.
Yeah.
Which I think is, where we kind of want to take this conversation, is how do you stop being defensive? And it kind of touched on a little bit when we're talking about being okay with making mistakes, being okay with not being perfect, being okay with the idea that you could hurt another person. It's possible. Everybody can.
Yeah.
The thing is that my therapist often says, well, I'm a good person and I sometimes hurt people.
Yeah.
Like, they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You can be a good person who sometimes hurts other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing I was struggling with was the repetitiveness of my behavior, because it created so much shame for me, and I just didn't get it. Like, I understood, but I didn't really get how bad it was. And I couldn't break out of this idea of isolation. Enough.
Rochelle really wants to talk about isolation tonight. She keeps bringing it up.
She's not in denial about it.
No, I'm not. I'm not in denial, and I'm not deflecting either.
Oh,
we didn't even get to that yet.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
no, we're 38 minutes in, and we're still talking about.
Okay, well, we can move on if you'd like to. That's fine.
Well, I just wanted to say that, as far as like, how do you get over being defensive? It's considering what the other person is saying is possibly true.
Yeah.
And thinking it through, and having a conversation with the other person about that.
Yeah. And I think even to get there for me, because I deal with toxic shame, is I'm not being called into the principal's office. I'm not being told, you did this thing, now you have to, like a harsh parent. We're all equal. I'm an adult. I had to struggle with that, even receiving any kind of criticism at work. And how's my work supposed to be better if I don't receive criticism, So not taking it as I'm bad. And it's incredibly freeing to be able to detach behavior from identity. And then I think once I've and I'm still working on that, but that's been huge for me because now I can say, okay, she said that what I said hurt her. What did I say? Was it hurtful? It hurt her. So no matter, I can't justify it. And instead of going, I didn't say anything wrong, she shouldn't be so sensitive, to go, okay, I'm a human being who hurts people. So, but that doesn't make me a shameful, awful person. So then being able to go, okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah. And I think one thing that, that's another factor is, was what I did objectively bad or subjectively bad? Like, there's times where you're doing something objectively bad, and sometimes you're doing something subjectively bad. So if it hurts me, but maybe not someone else, it's still hurtful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And whether you intended to hurt me to doing something that was subjectively hurtful is not relevant if you feel like it wasn't objectively hurtful. Does that make sense?
Mostly.
Yeah. So objectively means that there's sort of a rule about something that's outside of a person that everybody agrees to. Subjectively means it's within myself. I have a rule for me and how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
So like when you set boundaries with someone, I don't like it when you do this thing. I'd like you to stop doing that, or I'm going to do this. That is subjective. It's based on how I feel about what you're doing to me. So when you have a situation where you're doing something to me that I find hurtful, it doesn't have to be objectively wrong. It doesn't have to be a societal wrong. It could just be a subjective wrong that hurts me, something personal.
Right.
So that's something to consider because, I didn't mean to hurt you. That's where the intention thing comes into play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't tell by your face if you're lost, Evelyn, or processing or disagree.
I'm processing mostly.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm still learning how all this works. And I think intention does matter. And you can say, I didn't intend to, but you can't leave it there.
Right.
Because it's sort of like, we were talking about this the other day. Like, I ran over a squirrel. I didn't intend to, but the squirrel's still dead,
Yeah.
Right.
So, I didn't intend to hurt you. Let's just, continue with that. But I did. So moving quickly past the I didn't intend to, or even just skipping over it entirely. But I think it is kind of like, was I trying to hurt her? I think it is important to make that differentiation, like between how I treat my mom and that. But still, the result is still the same. What I did was hurtful.
Right. And this goes to actual apologies. Because when you're making a real apology, you own what you did. If it hurt the other person.
Yeah.
And this comes back to, as far as I understand it, the objective, subjective issue. Let's say in the Bible, we'll pick one quality out of the love list. Patience.
Sure.
So impatience is objectively wrong. According to the Bible. So if I'm impatient with you, Evelyn, objectively, I sinned against you. It doesn't matter whether or not that personally offended you. I actually did something wrong based on an outside parameter.
Right.
Okay. Now, we'll take a real example. I used to come at your chin with tweezers. and pluck chin hairs without asking you first. Now, is that subjective? Is that objectively wrong?
No, not objectively.
There's no external rule about whether or not you should pluck your best friend's chin hairs without their permission.
It might be one of those weird rules that are, in certain states, but yeah, probably not.
Maybe. But it bothered you for me to just do that without asking.
Yeah.
Right? For whatever reason it bothered you, that makes it subjectively wrong. Because it bothered you.
Right.
Was I intending to encroach on your physical space and take over your chin hairs and make you feel bad? Did I mean to make you feel bad? No.
No.
But I thought I was helping. Right? Because I could see him big as, I don't know, a log.
A log.
And I wanted to help you. I wanted to help you by pulling them out of your chin because I knew you wanted to get rid of them. Right?
Yeah.
But after, I don't know how many times I did that before you're like, stop doing that. Because it bothered you.
Yeah.
I had to subjectively know. I had to know that it was wrong, even though my intentions are good.
Yeah.
And apologize for violating your space. And not do it again.
Yeah.
Right? I was making that kind of a mistake with you, thinking it was fine that the boundaries there were no boundaries on this until you told me. And it doesn't matter if I didn't know about the boundary before. If you didn't like it and you finally spoke up and said it, I'm still wrong.
Yeah.
For having done that as many times as I did before you finally said something.
Yeah, you can just imagine like a defensive, which you did not do. You really honored my boundary. And now you ask, I see this thing. Is it okay if or I'll just go ahead. And when you have asked, the answer is usually yes, because you're not just pouncing on my face. But
right.
If you had said, well, I'm your best friend, and isn't it okay if I didn't know, you never told me that before, that kind of reaction would be defensive.
Right.
And very immature.
Yeah.
And very much almost like entitled, like you're okay. So you're saying you're entitled to jump on my chin and pull my hairs out when I don't, this my chin,
Yeah, somewhere in my head, I made that okay.
And it's just a thing, and I love that you chose to honor my boundaries. It's, I'm feeling this is kind of funny. Maybe I'm getting this from Michelle. I'm feeling a little emotional about this because I was never really one to set boundaries. People like you when they can walk all over you, well, anyway, no, but, that I could set such a simple boundary and you said, okay. And it may have happened once after that. Maybe. I don't think so though. I don't think so.
No, I probably joked about it, but I didn't actually try.
Yeah. And that is showing love. We were talking about 1 Corinthians 13. It's, I know now that this bothers you. Like you're saying, I think the more obvious ones, like, yeah, of course, don't punch somebody in the face. But when you know that some little thing is subjectively bothersome to somebody and you choose to honor that, even if you think it's silly, I'm not saying you do, but even if you did, knowing that meant something to the other person and go, okay, I'm going to practice self-control and I'm going to love that person and I'm going to honor her boundary. That's like the opposite of defensiveness.
Yeah, we're 48 minutes into this particular topic. Do you think we're going to get to denial and deflection, or should we just continue down defensiveness path and try to get the other ones?
At this point, unless we went, okay, denial's when you do this. Deflection's when you do this. Thanks for joining us.
I don't think we can as thoroughly discuss them in 20-ish minutes.
Yeah.
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 We like
so,
to go deep. So let's keep digging on defensiveness.
Yeah. Defensiveness could be really self-protective as well. I think we kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I have personally encountered the whole, well, that's not what I intended thing. And it can be really frustrating to be like, it doesn't matter what you intended.
Right.
It's what you actually did. It's what you did that matters. And, I think the tendency within ourselves to be defensive can be changed over time if you start practicing this idea that you are good but also make mistakes.
Yeah.
And being okay with making mistakes is a whole other step, because when your behavior is repetitive, it makes it very difficult to distinguish between being a good person or not being someone who is bad but makes mistakes repetitively. That can be very frustrating. And it also digs into accepting that you have trauma, and that's why you behave the way you do.
Right.
And we can go like really deep with that, because that's the whole root of it anyways. If there's a continuous behavior, it's because you have trauma, and you can't overcome this thing without therapy and help and healing. You just can't do it. Like, it's impossible.
I don't know that every repetitive behavior is because of trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the person, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for people who have trauma, repetitive behaviors are very common.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's usually not something you want to be doing if you're using your wise mind or your logic.
Yeah.
Or your critical thinking skills. You look at what you're doing, you're like, I don't want to do that, but you still do it anyway because it's what you know. It's what helps you feel comfortable. There's a certain, since we're talking about don't bug me before coffee, right? There's a certain amount of, I'm going to say, comfort in sort of being grumpy with those around you. It's almost a sort of self-protective measure, but it's also an entitled mentality.
Yeah.
But, like, I look at my morning coffee as sort of a moment of peace. And when it's interrupted, I really feel like, right?
Yeah.
But am I entitled to that? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that I'm entitled to a measure of peace. We live in a small house and there's people here all the time, like constantly in my face and talking to me a lot. But I have to learn to use my words and say, hey, I can't have this conversation with you right now because of this thing. I'm not entitled to be mad at people and take my frustration out on them. So that means that if someone came to me and said, I really didn't like it when you did X thing, I'm not entitled to go, oh, well, you did this and you did that, and that made me angry when you said X. Like, no. It's got to be more like, you know what? I recognize what you're saying is true. I did that, and I'm very sorry that I did that. Now, could I explain how I got there? Sure. I'd had a bad day. I was very tired. And I just didn't have any self-control.
Yeah.
I can say that because it's true, but it's not defensive to explain how you got there. It's defensive to say, you're wrong for bringing that up.
Or, like, how dare you point out this thing in me?
Right.
As though I shouldn't be called out or something. I know. Mom and I, whoever gets downstairs first makes the coffee. We have a French press, and it's enough for us to each have two good size, each of us have a good sized mug of coffee with some left over. And some mornings I feel pretty good coming downstairs, and I feel a little more interactive. Most mornings that is not the case. But there have been times when I've come down, and I think a lot of it is just cultivating self-awareness, because I know I'm going to see my mom and I don't want to treat her badly. So I usually do a little self-assessment when I get up and as I'm coming down the stairs. And I start to make a plan based on how I'm feeling. And there have been mornings when I've had to say, I'm sorry, Mom, I just need to grab my coffee and run because I'm having a morning. And she's so understanding, Other mornings, she and I are drinking coffee and the caffeine's kicking in early and we're chatting away. But I think it's that knowing, okay, how am I doing this morning? Doing a self-assessment.
I think you clicked on something that's important with this whole defensiveness thing, which is self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
If you're aware of your own behavior patterns and your propensity to behave a certain way at certain times, you don't really have any excuses if you go there. Right? And you can get to a place where you're like, yeah, I could see why that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm able to do that because I don't think I'm bad when I feel a certain way. I used to think when these thoughts would come into my mind, or this feelings of disrespect or whatever toward my mom, I would go, oh, that means I'm a bad person, or, I have to hurry up and squash that. Instead, I go, all right, I'm feeling this way.
Mm-hmm.
I have these thoughts. I have this attitude.
Excuse me.
And that way, chances are we're not going to get into a situation where she's going to have to call me out. That's one of my goals, is to treat her well, so we don't have to go through the whole thing of, when you said that, it hurt me. Yes, you're right. Oh, I'm so sorry. Will you forgive me? And I'm going to work to not do that anymore. How much better it is to just try not to do it in the first place, if at all possible.
Yeah, and I think as you're journeying through your trauma recovery, you're going to find places where you've been more defensive than you should be about things that you're doing, because I can guarantee you, if you're doing something maladaptive, you're hurting yourself or other people.
Yeah.
And you're going to be bumping into all sorts of things with that. It doesn't help you to recover if you're being defensive about your maladaptive behaviors. You have to recognize them as maladaptive.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And subjectively or objectively wrong, depending on the circumstances. And be willing to admit that, yeah, this is wrong. And I think that's really tough for people who are not too far into recovery or just aren't in it at all, because, if you're struggling with drug addiction or alcohol addiction or another kind of addiction, a lot of times we're in denial about the fact that we're in an addiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you don't even have, sorry.
Yeah. And you don't recognize that you're doing something maladaptive.
Right.
I run into this on the other side of the fence, so to speak, a lot at work with people who are just defensive all the time. I'm trying to help them, and there's one person in particular that I work with quite a bit that feels the need to do everything himself and won't let anybody help him a lot of the time. And it's very frustrating because we get calls on the radio by our manager saying, hey, can you do this? Or why didn't you do that? And that sort of thing. And I'm like, well, this other person is going to do it, because you can't tell him to do anything. You can't help him with anything. He wants to go do it himself. And my buddy and I were talking about the other day, a lady I work with a lot too in the mornings. She's like, he's trying to do it all himself and he can't do it all himself. I'm like, I know, I've been telling him that for 5 years. He's still not listening. And I finally had to say to him, I think it was last week, if you're not going to let people help you, you're going to feel the way you feel all the time because you're always feeling frustrated and stressed out. And you can see it in your face and see it how you're acting. And you're just going to be that way all the time. You got to let go of control or whatever it is you're trying to hold on to. Because we're supposed to be a team. You can't do it all yourself. And I don't understand why you feel like you have to. And he got a little miffed with me when I said that, but I can have these types of conversations with him because I've had them before.
Do you mean defensive?
Yeah, he was defensive. And like an hour later, he came back and he said, I hate to admit it, but you're right. But I don't know why I'm like this. And I said, I don't know why you're like this either. I'm guessing you have some kind of trauma that's causing this, but I don't know because I don't know. You said your home life is tough. I've met his mom. She doesn't seem like she's a bad person. It might just be a lot of demands on him. I don't know. At any rate, seeing that on the other side helped me to understand it may not be the same type of behavior, but the defensiveness is definitely a lack of awareness about what you're actually doing and a lack of self-awareness of how what you're doing is affecting other people. Mm-hmm. And it's stressful when you're trying to help someone who won't let them help you when you really are in a situation where they need help. Because we're busy at my job. I work in retail. You can't do it all yourself. It's impossible. That's why we have 3 people in register and 4 people in the deli and 2 people over where they make the drinks. And like, that's why it's set up the way it is so that we can help each other. Right. And when one person is trying to be whatever they're trying to do and do it all themselves, it makes it really tough on everybody else. And I don't think he realizes that his idea is making it hard for us to get things done. It's actually making it harder. I finally just told him, look, if I see something needs to be done, I'm just going to do it. I'm not even going to tell you. So he'd say, I might say it over the radio to let them know I won't be back on register right away. But I'm going to go do this thing. I'll be back. Because I try to like gauge, if I have enough time or not. And I know how to do that. I've been there a long time. And he accepted that, which surprised me. I thought he would argue with me, but he didn't. He kind of was resigned to, okay, that's fine. That's what you want to do. I'm like, well, it's the only way we can do this. So we can make this work on a regular basis. So far it worked. What were we going to say?
I said, so you set a boundary.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just, so far it's working, and I kind of took authority, even though he's technically my authority, he's the lead. I took authority because of the problem we were having, but I didn't do it in a way where I was like demanding anything. I was just saying, look, I'm just going to go do whatever needs to be done because things aren't getting done. One example is we get regularly marked down for cleanliness. We have something called Voice of the Customer. It's a survey you can take where you need to get all 5s to get credit or whatever. We regularly get marked down for cleanliness, and I'm constantly cleaning because things get dirty really fast in a very busy store. And he never cleans the soda area, and it bugs the crap out of me because we always get marked down for that. And to me, it's like super obvious, but it gets neglected. So now I just go over and do it and come back and go over and do it and come back. Because they'll stock it, but they won't actually wipe anything down. And I don't understand that concept. And it, setting boundaries is hard because you don't want to step on people's toes, but you're also kind of tired of how things are not working and how they're being defensive and what they're doing is hindering progress for whatever's happening. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily hurt me personally. It's hurting what we're trying to accomplish at work every day.
Right. And his defensiveness isn't helping the situation.
Right.
Because objectively, what he's doing is hurting the whole team.
Right.
And, if he can have that kind of self-awareness to know that, and sometimes it takes mentioning it more than once for people to really get it. Mm-hmm. I think a really, a great person will take criticism in one go, process it, respond appropriately. Mm-hmm. It won't take several tries to, because it's repeat defensiveness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you say, you're doing this thing, well, I didn't mean to. Well, it doesn't matter if you meant to. Stop doing it. Yeah. And that has happened to me over time, and it can get a little frustrating, but helping the person come to self-awareness about what they're doing. It does take a bit of calmness from me explaining it to the other person and trying not to be like, you're such a man, I can't believe you did that. Why are you? It doesn't help for me to be angry.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, if I want to try to limit defensiveness from the other person, it's not a guarantee they're not going to.
Right.
Be defensive regardless of how I put things.
True.
If I want to limit how much I'm contributing to their defensiveness, I need to be calm. I need to be kind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I also need to, convey what it is that's bothering me in a way that makes sense.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And not just be like, you're such a eh.
Yeah.
Although that's how I feel.
Yeah. Yes.
But
Yes.
it's not going to accomplish anything for me to act like that towards the person I'm trying to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately put them into a defensive position.
Right. Or that they feel hopeless because, like, for some of us, like, for certain things, I get it right away. Other things, it takes me a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I've experienced kindness and patience while I figure it out. But I've also experienced harshness when I didn't get it right away.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing that, thinking about what it's like to be on the receiving end of someone who is patient and kind, and then to try to be like that, I have a very patient and kind supervisor, and there's some things that I just didn't get at first, and she has ways of and she's like this with everyone. She has a way to explain things where you feel like you're being cared for, not just, hey, you're screwing up, but this is, I'm helping you to be better. And this is going to be good for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's my husband.
Walking by.
I guess he misunderstood my gestures because I was saying no, but he still walked by.
Of course he did.
Oh, well. We live in a house.
With people all the time.
With people. I try my best to say, please don't interrupt.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, I think we've kind of, talked this one out. So I'm going to try to sum up what we were saying. Mm-hmm. Defensive-ness is bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
I'll say more. Defensiveness is a feeling of being victimized by someone else's, criticism, generally, sometimes anger, frustration, whatever it is that's coming at you about something that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And, it can be difficult to sort out, did you actually do something wrong? Like, was it objectively wrong? Was it subjectively wrong?
Mm-hmm.
People often say, well, I didn't intend to hurt you, but intentions don't matter in the sense that you still did something wrong, like Evelyn's squirrel example. The squirrel is still dead, right? You ran it over. So that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Whether you intend to do it or not. Your intentions, I think, are what make you a good person, but your actions make you someone who makes mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes back to what my therapist says. I can be a good person and make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could be both at the same time because making mistakes does not say much about my character necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If my intentions are good, if my intentions are bad, I think that plays into things in a different way. That's a different problem. But if your intentions are good, but you still took an action that ended up hurting someone, then you still need to apologize. Being defensive in that situation isn't actually helpful to resolving the conflict, whatever it is.
Right.
Because you need to be able to hear what someone else is saying to you and evaluate how things played out and recognize how the action was harmful.
Yeah.
Regardless of your intentions, and be able to genuinely apologize because you recognize that what you did hurt someone or did some sort of harm.
Yeah.
And the goal is, usually if someone's criticizing you, the goal is to improve whatever it was you were doing that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can learn from that, and you can grow from that if you're open and willing to take the criticism and to apologize for the mistake and resolve not to do it again.
Right.
Did I sum it up pretty well?
Sounds
I'd say
good to
so,
me.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll get to deflection and denial on a different podcast. I mean, we might end up talking about denial or deflection for an entire hour and 15 minutes. Who knows? We had a goal, but we didn't get to it. Oh well.
That doesn't make us a bad people.
We're good people. We make mistakes.
Sometimes don't hit our goals.
We didn't mean to.
We didn't mean to. We didn't mean to focus just on this one thing.
Oh,
well.
Goodness.
Well, anyway, thank you for joining us. If you're listening to our podcast, we appreciate you taking the time to listen. We hope that you got something out of it. We hope that you're taking in what we're saying and considering it and helping yourself grow from it. And because we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're calling this trauma recovery out loud because we're talking about what we're doing,
What we're working on. Yeah.
right now
Yep.
in our own lives. So we're just talking about what it's like for us to live with deflection, denial, and the one we just talked about.
Defensiveness.
Defensiveness. Boy. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. So we just spent, the last hour and 10 or so minutes. Yes. Well, I can't see anything. My glasses are. Yeah, there we go. There's 1 hour and 11 minutes, 25 seconds. Anyway, if you've listened to this, you got something out of it, please share it with someone. Please talk about it. There's this great podcast that hardly anyone knows about, and they sit around and talk about things that are important and useful, and share it with people so that we can grow, because we want to grow.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
I think we're done.
All right. Well, I'm Stephanie Dunham.
I'm Evelyn Mason.
I'm Rochelle Knapp.
Have a good whatever.
Have a good whatever. Bye.
Ah.
Bye.
Bye.
Ah. Slowly getting my pointer over here to stop. Oh, here we go. Ah.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks so much for joining us as we discussed such an important topic. We hope you got some food for thought and encouragement to keep going and keep growing. See you later, Bear Club.